Good evening, Zion Global family and friends. We're thankful again that you are tuning in. And as we always say, please share this across Facebook, share it across YouTube. It is a wonderful thing. We've been able to go into this new series as Pastor has started on Check-In. And Check-In is really in a place of truly checking in. God has said through his word that we are to cast our burdens, and we really should take upon his burdens. He says, my burdens are easy and my yoke is light. So I'm thankful tonight that we're going to be able to share with Sister Pam Mentor, who has agreed to be here. I did not strong arm her. I did not push her. I did ask. So praise God for that. But again, this is a good time. I pray that you will share this with your friends and your family. We're trying to touch on areas of hurts, pain, shame, rejection, things that are a part of that check-in where we're saying we hold on to burdens like never before. And it comes from our past, it comes from our generations before us, but it's something that we end up dealing with internally. And God is asking us, cast them to us, cast them to him, put them on him. And that's our vertical relationship with the Lord. It's our vertical relationship, and that we have a relationship horizontally. I'm thankful that I do have a relationship with Pam Mentor, or else I probably couldn't have called her. So I'm thankful again that we'll be able to share tonight and just give some feedback to you guys, and hopefully we will help someone. Again, we're doing check-in. That's what this is. And this is Talks and Chats, series number, I don't know, 12, 10, 11, 15, whatever it is. But we're just tuning in here to see what the Lord is going to say through our conversation. So welcome, Pam Mentor. Thank you for being here this evening and sharing with us. It is just great to be able to help people, you know. Yes. I know that you work in, is it still education or administration? What are you doing these days?
All of the above.
Okay.
I work for Cincinnati Hamilton County Community Action Agency, our Head Start program.
That's right.
And so when you talk education, 0 to 5, that's what Head Start is, the early education program for children 0 to age 5. And so I have oversight of 6 of the centers, child care centers, that the agency operates throughout the city, Hamilton County.
So the Head Start centers throughout the community, or throughout the tri-state?
That are self-operated by Community Action Agency. Because we're also a delegate. So we also have slots through UC and Cincinnati Public. And then the agency itself directly self-operates probably about 800 children.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So somewhere in the midst of all that, there's 800 children in different places.
Different child care centers,
Okay. All right.
Ranging from Roselawn, Bond Hill, Winton Terrace,
in
Camp
Forest
Washington.
Park.
That is,
We used to.
yeah, Millville,
Okay.
downtown, and over at Discovering Minds, which is at Corinthian Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah,
On
over
site.
in Tennessee. Yeah,
Okay.
on site there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So do you get involved with the kids themselves directly, or more oversight of the program?
More oversight of the program.
Okay.
And I get involved when pre-COVID, the pandemic, going out and visiting the centers. And so now that we have kind of opened up where we have parents coming back in the centers, I'll probably, be going out like weekly, each week, visiting one of the 6 centers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with parents directly?
Not directly. I deal with them when they call in, or I will randomly do a check-in to see how things are going, if they have concerns. We also we use something called a POSIP, and it's a survey that we send out every other week to parents. And so, there's a time for them to say what's working good, or if they have concerns. And if they leave some type of contact information, I will follow up with that parent just to, put that personal spin, that personal touch, and, see what we can do differently.
So, as a segue, that sounds like you're checking in with them.
Yes, I am. Oh, you're good.
I didn't really plan that, but I figured this
good.
would work.
Yeah, it's a check-in.
Sure.
I do that periodically with parents and staff members as well, just to, see how things are going, and you don't wait until there's an issue or a complaint. Yeah.
So checking the pulse.
Checking the pulse, having accountability, being that accountability partner.
Yep.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, that's we all these are elements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So our intent, right, is during check-in, we're identifying there's areas that people hold on to, things that they're dealing with, burdens, pain, struggles, hurts, past hurts, unforgiveness, all of that, right?
Right.
And when you have someone like yourself doing this in a system that's structured, right?
Right.
It allows you to do this process, get feedback, understand, nip things in the bud where you can, you're proactive.
Right.
It's more proactive, right?
Yes.
Well, us personally, that ain't the norm.
Right.
Right? Unless you got a really good nucleus of people who are really into checking in on you, then you're kind of on your own.
Right.
Unless you reach out. So you either reach out or somebody reaches in to you and checks in and kind of checks the pulse.
Right.
You saw Vernon Lane, we were talking, and he was talking about Celebrate Recovery and going through that whole recovery process and having someone that he checks in with probably daily or every other day. It's always understanding, where am I? Can I identify that? Can I share? But it's a place of transparency, a place of giving, where you feel comfortable enough to give truth. And that truth doesn't come back to haunt you, hurt you, cause more pain than it was supposed to be for, right? So I'm like, okay, Pam Minter, seemingly super quiet, stay to yourself kind of person from my experience over the years. So how does Pam check in?
First of all, thank you for having me here.
God
I
bless
was
you.
really
God
nervous.
Bless you. God bless you.
How does Pamela check in? I have a core group of sisters, here, in the church, and I have a core group, secular at work who will, from time to time kind of check in. People always say I have this stoic posture. And so it's what you were saying, but you didn't want to say that, but I have this stoic posture. And so you can read me, read the eyes when, something is not right or something is, going on. You kind of, hey, are you all right today? Or a text or, a phone call. But, that's a core group, I think, that for me has grown and that I have come to embrace and allow in my life because, there was a point in time not too long ago where I pushed people away. And, it was like when Rodney died. And you talk about baggage and grief. And grief for me opened up all kinds of wounds, all kinds of stuff, like things I didn't even realize I had held on to, I was carrying, because again, that persona, that mask that you wear is supposed to be strong.
Got it.
And then boom, he dies. And I took that on as, it was something that I hadn't done, I blamed myself, even though when Pastor came, he says, it's not your fault. It's nothing that you did or didn't do. Everybody has an appointed time. But I went deeper inward.
Got it.
And, I didn't allow, I pushed people away, that core group. And, there were days that, how do I say this?
Just say it, please.
Just say it.
Yeah.
There were days that my prayer was that I not wake up. It had gotten that dark for me. And the whole time, people were calling, they were texting, emailing, we're gonna do dinner when you're ready. And I'm not gonna call names because they know, who they are, or we're, thinking about you. And it was all that. You gotta be strong, you're supposed to be strong. And why did this happen? Excuse me. Why did this happen to me? And I went further and further. And that first year, it's all a blur.
Yeah.
The only thing that I truly remember was every night going to bed and praying not to wake up. Because I wanted, it was the hurt, and I wanted it all gone.
So you were trying to medicate in some way.
In some way, yeah.
Or rid yourself of the hurt.
Yeah, of the hurt, I took it on as a punishment. Fear, what do I do now? How do I, Rodney was retired. He handled everything. Not that I didn't know how to handle, but he was the leader.
Yeah.
There, in the house, and it was just fear and baggage of rejection, baggage of years of rejection, and just it just had to be something I hadn't done, or something that I wronged somebody in the past, and that's why.
So you rationally.
I was rationalizing.
Okay.
Yeah, and the out for me was going there, not just being in a real dark place. And the whole time, like I said, people were reaching out, that accountability, and I was rejecting. I'm like, I don't deserve for anybody to call and check on me. And I would get up, go to work, had a mask on, and there were a few people there who knew something, and every day would reach out and say, hey, how's it going today? Did you eat? It was a real dark time.
Tell me this, if you can. When you experienced, this was devastating, because it was devastating to me, but I'm not married to him, even more devastating to a person that didn't spend their whole life with, one person. And when it occurred, I'm just thinking about beyond or past that, go back some. If that triggered anything else, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old, something else that it kind of culminated then. Now this is happening to me, and how I feel about me per se, where I'm at right now. Did it trigger anything from before, or just brand new? This is all brand new. Rejection, feeling a certain way. Had you had these feelings before?
I had those feelings probably prior to him, marriage, bad relationships, rejection of relationships, and not just like male relationships, but female relationships. Always feeling like I had to be perfect.
Got it.
That I grew up with my grandparents, and that's one thing. Like my grandma was a school teacher, and so everything I had to perform. I had to be perfect.
Got it.
And I did not allow people to get close to me, almost like being like a little doll. And if I allowed you into what I say is my inner court, you were in. But if you wronged me, whoa. Oh, I can't say that on camera.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's the woo.
Yeah, it
Just
was
call it the woo.
another kind of
Yeah.
person,
It's the
that.
Pameline versus the Pamela.
It's the Kamala.
Oh,
At
Kamala.
work, she's known. Excuse me,
You
I'm
got
at
another
church.
name?
Yeah, at work, the other side comes out.
All right.
Kamala.
Yeah, don't mess with me.
Yeah, Kamala.
So
would come out.
the reason why I say that is because there's a level of trust in relationships at best, and if there are genuine relationships. So, just like the Lord says that we should love Him. He says, but how can you love me when you don't love someone that you see, your own brother, your own sister that you see? How can you show love to me who you don't see and never seen? I mean, you see evidence, manifestations, and things of that nature. And I'm like, okay, this is real because, to be honest, relationships with individuals can be hard.
Yeah.
Because if you want it to be intimate enough that, hey, I trust you, you trust me, we can hang out, whether male or female, right?
Yeah.
So if that trust gets broken,
Yes.
what is that doing with your relationship with God? Some people don't connect the dots at all. They're just like, oh, that's over here. My relationship with God is solid,
Right.
But at the same time, some say, well, that relationship here is causing me to have minimizing or causing me to have a disruption or an obstacle in the way of me having a relationship with God. Can you talk about that?
Well, prior to, it's ironic that you bring that up, because before, Rodney died, I had pulled away from the church. That's why I call myself the prodigal daughter. And so that was years before, he died. And there had probably been a series of things in my mind. Sometimes when they say you're running from a calling and you don't want to accept the things that, and I think that's kind of what, I was doing was running. It wasn't anything that a person, did, nothing here in the church. I was running and past hurts, rejections, emptiness. Jared, had gone away to college, and this was before Kyson, and just slowly but surely, stopped, coming, and was at that point in time in my life was questioning a lot of things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
A lot of things. I was. Rodney would come home and say, "Oh, so and so asked about you. Stephanie asked about you. Pastor." I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming." Just telling him, I'm sorry.
2 more years.
Yeah, 2 more years. And that's what it was. 2 more years, and then after that, it was 2 years. It's the number 2.
Interesting. Yeah.
Before I walked back through those doors in 2018. And I think after that dark period, that I, went through, and then I lost, my mom. My mom died. But the night before, what I at the time didn't know would be the last time I would talk to her, she said, you need to, you got to get back in the church. And I'm like, how do you know? What? She said, Kyson was used to going to church with Rodney. And he needs to go and you need to go. And I was like, well, how do you know I haven't been
you know?
going?
Yeah.
She said, oh, I know, but you have to go back. And to know that story, my mother was a Jehovah's Witness
Interesting.
who was telling me that I needed
Go back to church.
to go back to church. And then the next day, that was a Thursday night, and then the next day is when she died that morning. And so I was coming home. I had, spent that day with my dad and family, and I had stopped at the gas station on 747, and this young man walks up to me and he says, we're out blessing people today. And I said, oh, okay, the skeptic. I said, oh, okay. And I was talking to somebody at work, and I said, there's this weird guy who's talking about he's blessing people. This is where I am. And if I go missing, this is the last place where I was, right?
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case. And he kept saying, no, we want to bless you. And I looked around. I said, am I being punked or something?
It's on TV.
Yeah, and he said no, but we are out, and he said they had gone and they had just cleaned one of the school buildings, and I looked in his car, and he had some cleaning supplies, and he said, no, I want to bless you, how much do you think? And so I gave him the amount, and all of a sudden 2 other guys, young white guys, appear. He gives them, because I said, I think probably $40. So he reaches in, gives them $40. And then he proceeds to speak into my life. He proceeded to tell me.
This is at a gas station.
This is at the gas station at 747 Beckett Smith Road.
Oh, yeah.
You know where that is? It's a McDonald's,
Yeah,
McDonald's
yeah,
across the
yeah.
street. And he proceeds to, tell me that God has me. And I, said, I just lost my mom today. And, it just seems like everybody that I love, I'm close to, dies. He says, God has you. And he just went on just speaking, prophesying into my life. And he says, you need to know that don't worry. Don't lift your head. You no longer have to walk in fear. That God has you, and you just need to know that. And it went on probably for like 15 minutes. I'm probably giving the abbreviated, kind of version. And I wept the whole time, like going home, and I'm like, okay, God, you got me. You got my attention. That was on a Friday. That Sunday, I walked through those doors. And it has been, when I walked through those doors, it was like I never left. Because all of the friends, the sisters, you guys, pastor, greeted me like I had never left. And I don't worry about things anymore. I've always been this, I don't like surprises. And, part of me, when you text me, I was like, oh, what am I going to be talking about? Oh, gosh, I don't know if people are ready to hear how angry, I was at God. Because I had a good Christian person tell me that was blasphemous. And I said, well, you know what? I don't care if it's blasphemous, but I'm really angry at him right now.
Just me,
and
right.
I can't pray. I said, so you pray for me, because I don't want to pray. I'm not worthy of anything that he could or would say to me.
Right.
I said, I can't even, I don't want to hear him right now, because.
I want to be here.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta, how sometimes you hear people say you gotta walk it out.
Yep.
And we have to allow people to walk it out, because it's in that walking out that you come out on the other side with the testimony.
Yeah.
And I, at first, now I look back, I'm not judging that person, because that's how they felt. But I couldn't. I didn't want to. And again, it's that baggage. It's that I don't want to be here. I've detached, and I'm just going to do what I have to do. But if you take me, I wish you'd take me now, and I wouldn't have to think about it.
When you were talking about the, kind of where you were, because it's a dark place, right?
Yeah.
So there's no one that can take that away from you, that you can't remember. You remember very explicitly, specifically, the time, how you felt, all of that.
Yeah.
But just as those guys came to you at the gas station, do you recall like the breakthrough where it's like, okay, I mean, if it was coming back in here, I'm not sure, but right where you began to go from, I feel like I don't want to deal with this, I don't want to deal with God, I'm mad at God, to I'm better, I'm getting better, I'm there, or I'm almost there.
I think the breakthrough came when this young man, and what I said to them was, it was 3 of them, and I said, you know what, you remind me of the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When the the leader started speaking things that I hadn't told anybody.
Okay.
And he, started just
prophetically
speaking, and my friend at work was on the phone the whole time. She was still, on the phone, and she said, I've never heard you be that transparent with anyone, because we were in a conversation, like I said, that went on for maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20, but I vividly remember.
And this is a stranger.
He's a stranger,
right, but
he was a white guy,
but
a young
the
man.
love of God showed up.
He showed up.
He gave you a visitation.
Yes, he did, and 3 angels, and one of the things that he says, don't worry, God has you. Going forth, you don't have to fear, you don't have to worry, you don't always have to have the answers, because I've always been this person that, again, I don't like surprises, and I have to know the next step, what's going to happen, what's going to happen tomorrow. And what I learned during that, I would put more anxiety on myself. But one of the things that the pandemic taught us all was that we're not in control.
Exactly.
And we're still not,
Exactly.
in control. And I wake up now, the first thing is, Lord, thank you. Keep me in my right mind and guide my steps for today, because I can't do this without you. And I think once I heard all of that, I came in and I just totally surrendered that I'm not in control, and it's not about me. And I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I know who holds tomorrow.
See,
I learned that through all of this. And
that's the message.
yeah, it's going to be okay.
That's the message. It's going to be okay.
Yeah,
and
it's going to be okay.
Our folks, if they haven't heard anything from you today, to hear the backdrop, to hear the story, to understand, I went there, I was there, I was in a place, a dark place, and it was real. So this ain't like I'm faking this, talking to y'all. She's not faking. This is as real gets, to the point of, if I don't wake up, even asking, take me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm okay. I was ready.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And so that's a serious place, and actually to put up walls in such a way where nobody can necessarily get to you. It's like, I'm not taking any calls right now. I'm not responding to any text messages. Please don't knock on my door. Whatever. I'm walling myself in, because this is where I am.
Yeah.
And God just persevered and pushed through. And to be honest, he caused you to persevere.
Yeah.
I need you to just hang in there just long enough. Long enough, because on the other side of there is here. Because you're going from where you were to.
Yeah.
He said, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. So that all those things begin to come to you, although I'm going through. Lose my mom, I lost my husband. These are not planned events.
No.
You know, and they're significant enough. So that's what I really wanted you to share.
Wow.
That's what I really wanted you to talk about. I knew you would be able to give it, and I thank God that you were willing to give it and share from your heart with our folks. I know somebody's going to be helped, somebody's going to be lifted, someone's going to be healed, somebody's going to be set free, somebody's going to be delivered. That is awesome to me, to believe that God would use this platform where we have taken over Bible study and we've had talks and chats with different people of our congregation, folks in the body of Christ, and it's just a sharing moment of time. So God bless you. Thank you again for tuning in. Shalom.
The sun